Melissa Cote. The fastest way to achieve success is to find someone who's already done an amazing job at what you want to do, and then have them explain to you exactly what they did to get there. We all rise by lifting others.
Hi, I'm Nycki Carter, and we are the founders and owners of Insporise, a platform where we can connect wildly successful people with aspiring successful people. And over the next 30 minutes, you are going to hear from someone who is truly inspiring. Hello, I'm Nycki Carter. I am here with Melissa and a very special guest. His name is Blake. He is killing it in the real estate world here in Arizona. We are so excited. He's going to touch on some awesome topics. And we are talking about all things real estate. He has been killing it in the real estate game. He's going to talk about being a buyer, a seller, building a team, getting really into mindset, and how he's been doing that to grow his business. And so without further ado, we'll say hello to Melissa, and then we'll let him introduce himself.
Hi, Nycki.
Hi.
Thanks for your intro. I love it as always. Yeah, she always goes into like everybody's like resume, and they're just so huge that it's very, very exciting. Anyways, Blake, thanks so much for being here. We're so excited to hear everything that you're doing and all the things that you have to explain to us. We're so excited. So let's get right into it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. My resume is not that exciting. It's like I sell houses.
That sounds kind of humble if you ask me.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, what questions do you guys have for me? You want me to just like start out who I am? Would that be easier for you?
Yeah. So let's start with your story. How did you get into real estate? Where did you start? Where are you at now? What are some of your goals? And we'll go from there.
Cool. Yeah. I actually got into real estate by accident, believe it or not.
Wow.
It's interesting that I'm here now doing it at the level I am, but it was never intentional. So ran a few other businesses and got into real estate, honestly, just because I had lost my corporate job. So the whole safety net, 401k, retirement, insurance, all that fun stuff. And so when I lost that job and kind of went to being like a 1099 freelance employee doing marketing for other businesses and companies, I didn't really have a retirement, so to say. And so kind of just looking up into building, kind of long-term wealth or passive income for retirement, I stumbled on, like real estate investing and owning rental properties and things like that. And I'd already owned one rental property at that time. I came across a good deal like a few years back from a family member, bought it, had it as a rental, and then said, well, I want to do more of this and maybe some flipping here and there, and so honestly just got my real estate license to just have access to the MLS to view some properties and maybe pick up some good deals here and there. Nothing intentional to be a full-time sales agent. Got my license. I actually had a couple friends of mine at the time use me to buy and sell a house, and did okay. I think my first year I did somewhere around, it was like 6 or 8 million in sales my first year. Not really trying. I think it was just more of like I was just good at numbers. Like it's a business thing. Like I don't get emotionally attached. Like I think in real estate, it's in a very emotional business for a lot of people because it's their home, right? People love their home. They're connected to it. It's where most of their assets are tied up as far as, their wealth and their money. And, where for me, I don't know, I look at things different. A house is a house. It's just, you can sell it, you can buy it. The numbers make sense. And that's that, so I look at them as little businesses, if you will. And I think that helped me be very black and white with my clients to help them guide in the right direction and say, this makes sense. This doesn't make sense. You should do this. This doesn't. What are you looking to do? Okay, great. Let's plot this out. And it just kind of fell in place. And I think my second year, I did somewhere around 10 million in sales. And then third year, I was somewhere around like 17 million in sales. And I was like, all right, this is just getting busy. I'm going to go full time. And then I also decided to bring on a buyer's agent to help me just because I was, doing, I think at that time, somewhere around like 4 to 5 transactions a month, which wasn't anything crazy, but just enough to say, hey, it'd be cool to have a little extra help here with people helping me show houses, working with multiple buyers. And that's really what started my team. Went from 1 to, I think we were up to like 12. Did that, and then we ended up making it to the top 1%. Me as a solo agent individually, I do around 65 to 75 transactions a year now myself. And then my team we're sitting at about 10 right now. We average about 160 to 170 transactions per year. And then now we actually started our own brokerage. So we actually own our own brokerage, and we're up to 21 agents in our brokerage now total. So That's my
I have about 19 questions within that.
Too.
Yep. Whoa. Okay. So I'm practicing, as everyone who's listened to anything previously, I'm practicing asking one question at a time because I asked about 7 at a time and then say, can you answer all of those at one time? So first question, what year are you in right now?
I'm in my 7th year right now.
Okay. So you did like 17 million in transactions before you hired a team member?
Yeah, it was that year. I like just started doing it. Yeah, 3rd year, about 17 mil. And I hired my team member the next month in January, that first one.
Wow. Okay. So what changed? I mean, in my mind, it seems like it would be the income, but what were you doing before that you weren't letting go of? Or was there a business, like another business to hold it back? Or what did that look like?
Wasn't letting go of was just, in my previous job, I was actually a manager there. It was my first sales job. I won't name the company, but it was a large college, we'll say that, doing enrollments. And, I was very young when I started working there. My background has been very blue collar, working construction, digging ditches, driving tractors. I had a welding job at that time. I actually picked melons in the field in my teenage years. Like, I've done it all. So I got my first sales job, if you want to call it that, customer service, working at this college. And within 6 months, I got promoted to management because I came in and just killed it. I was like, this is easy, like air conditioned, and I'm getting paid. I think at that time it was like 30 grand a year. I was like, this is way easier than digging $12 an hour. Like, all you gotta do is sit down and make some phone calls and talk to people all day. Done. So I did really good, scaled up, got promoted to manager, ran one of the top performing teams. I was there for about 6 years. Company went through some changes. We were on basically paid on a performance metric. So it was a sales job. So the more sales you got, the more you got paid. You got raises every 6 months. They went through some organizational shifts and basically told management, you can't pay people based off of their performance anymore, just because of some government regulation that had come into play at that time. For those of you guys that were in the for-profit sector in 2010 to maybe 15, you probably know what I'm talking about. So they ended up, I had a competition with my team one day, and that was one of the things as management. They're like, you can't hold your team, you can't pay them based off of performance, you can't reward them, this whole thing. Mind you, this is a whole culture built off sales and performance. And so I had a competition one day. I said, whoever makes the most outbound calls, you guys, I'll take you out to lunch on me. And they fired me that day. They're like, you're done.
Wow.
Competition. And I think I was ranked as one of the top like 3 or 4 teams in a company of like 10,000 people at that time. At 26, I think I was at that time, and had 2 kids, and it was a major ego blow. It was very frustrating for me because I was like, man, I ran a great team and had great camaraderie, and we all loved each other, and we were kicking butt, and just to kind of be let go for something like that didn't sit well with me. And it almost in a way I was just like, I'm done with corporate America. That's why I never went back. Just kind of went the self-employment route because I didn't ever want that feeling of like, hey, I'm helpless. I'm not in my own control of my own paychecks or destiny anymore with that. And it was also interesting to see how quickly a shift in a corporate environment could say, hey, we value you. Oh, now this little change happens. We no longer value you, right? Like that to me just didn't sit well with me either. And so I was very hesitant to start another team up just because I didn't really want to go through that again of getting an attachment of a team and growing and having others rely on me and then in a way somehow let them down. So that was probably a limiting belief for a very long time. And finally and that's the thing too, I didn't start a team just because I wanted to start a team. I started the team out of necessity. I was getting so friggin' busy. And I think that's where a lot of agents these days and a lot of people have this whole thing, oh, I'm gonna start a team. And they don't even need a team because their own production doesn't warrant them needing a team, right? A lot of people have the expectation of, I'm gonna start this big team and scale it so I don't have to do anything. And I got all these other people doing the heavy lifting for me. And mine was the exact opposite. I just did it. It's like, hey, I legitimately need help. I'm working 15-hour, 14-hour days, showing tons of houses, doing paperwork, like 0 family time. Like I really legitimately need help right now. And so I brought on one person and it just turned into, hey, people come to me. I've never actively recruited. I never put anything out on my social media saying, hey, I'm looking for members to join my team. Come over here. Like I don't do any of that. Everything I've had is 100% organic with people coming to me for coaching and mentorship. And I've grown it that way. And I've only ever kept it at 10 people on my personal team so that I'm not spread too thin and I'm actually effective in coaching these guys. And they're coming here for my coaching and mentorship, I don't want them to feel like they're just one out of 30 other people,
Right.
So that's probably where the mind shift like went for me. Basically, it was just like, hey, I need help. I'm too busy.
Yeah.
Kind of grew from there. So
Melissa, I heard limiting beliefs and work-life family balance. So I'm gonna pass it to you.
I love that she picks out my keywords for me.
Sorry, I'm not new to it.
I actually have two questions. One kind of has to do with mindset. My first one is, so when you, being as though you didn't initially try to get into this career, to sort of, like you said, kind of like fell in your lap. Did you have to like start with a company first? Like obviously the self-employment was what you wanted to focus on, but did you have to start with like I don't really know exactly how it works, but like a brokerage firm or something like that? We have to work under somebody first?
Yeah. So when you get your real estate license, you have to maintain your salesperson / real estate license in Arizona for 3 years before you're eligible to become a broker. So when I got my license, I did go under a very small brokerage, very limited resources, but by design, because my plan again was never, hey, I need to ramp up as fast as possible, make this my career. It was more of, I just need a place to put my license under. Where's the cheapest place to just kind of stay active, but still do my other things on the side, right? And so I got very limited beliefs on, or a very limited, sorry, not belief, but limited help, if you will, because it was just a super cheap, flat fee. Put your license here. If you have a question, maybe give me a call here and there, but there was no like office. There was no like formal trainings every week. There was none of that. It was just like, hey, you got your license. Great. You're legally can hang it here so you can sell a deal here and there. And that's what it was. It was very a part-time passive. And then switched to another brokerage that I was at, a little more scale. And that's only because as my team started to grow, I'm very much a self-starter too. So I don't need hand holding. I figure things out. I'm not really a conventional person. If there's a certain skill or trade that I know I need, I'll definitely go seek that out and figure it out. But I'm not one of those guys that's like, hey, you need to get up and tell me. Like I love learning. I love growing. I love scaling. To me, at the end of the year, I have to be doing more, right? And whatever more looks like, it could be financial, it could be volume, it could be skill set, knowledge. I mean, more, it can be defined by so many different things, but that's your field goal, right? That's your scoreboard. If at the beginning of the year and the end of the year, you're exactly the same and you didn't grow at all in that year, in my opinion, that was a failure. So for me personally. So that's kind of how we started, was just that. And then we got so busy that my original broker, again, part-time-ish business model for agents that aren't doing high volume, basically came to me and just said, hey, you can't grow anymore because I can't keep up with your volume because and so if you want to stay right where you're at,
that sounds like a terrible problem to have.
Yeah, and we have a great relationship to this day. Very good guy. He definitely mentored me. Had been in the business forever. Any questions I had, he always guided me in the right direction. It just got to the point where he was like, hey, you're doing way too much. I can't keep up with this. If you want to continue to grow, I'll support you, but you have to go somewhere that has better systems and processes in place to maintain that. And so we went to another brokerage and we were there for about 2 years, but we kind of just outgrew the resources there. And I wasn't a fan of the culture. My team out of that brokerage that we were at that time was the highest producing team. We didn't really have any competition. That brokerage didn't breed competition. They didn't breed competitiveness. They didn't condone, any kind of fun like that. And not like condone, but they just didn't go out of their way to try to push growth, really.
Like morale.
Yeah, which kind of bothered me. It was just one of those things like they had like 260 agents and my agent, 10 of us had done almost 10% of that company's business out of 260 agents. And so we were trying to, promote competitions. We try to promote different learning and they just did not care about that. They're like, no, it's not what we're here for. And so it's like, okay, well, this isn't a place for me to continue to grow because that's not the culture I want. And so we just decided to open our own brokerage and start our own culture and replicate what we had done with my team, but on a larger scale. And also we're in the phase right now. My next chapter is helping other agents grow teams now because, I kind of figured it out. It took me 7 years, but I kind of have a system in place that's worked very well. And has good retention and, puts out good volume. And, so my next challenge for me personally was like, hey, let me bring an agent that wants to start a team and let me coach them and let me see if I can replicate this and help them replicate what I have now. So
that's awesome. That's actually perfect segue into my secondary question to all of that. So obviously, where this wasn't something that you studied beforehand, you kind of just grew and got into it.
Yep.
There's a lot of real estate agents, realtors, people in your sector that struggle a lot.
Yep.
What do you think is the thing that, and obviously you mentioned a lot of things that kind of sets you apart, but what do you think the thing was that you have that you just kind of instinctively have that makes you obviously really, really good at this where others struggle?
Yeah. And can I add on to that before you answer too? Because I think you had said, correct me if I'm wrong, 3 million in your first year. I know tons of like real estate agents that, would be happy to make that in their entire career, I feel like. So I want to
3 million profit, by the way, in my pocket.
Right. Totally. But but like numbers
clarify that for anybody out there
houses. I know realtors that are or real estate agents that are like, I'll do 1 or 2 a year. I'll make the small bonus, and so that's
almost
still does not equate.
I tell people, if you're going to get into this business to do a deal here, it's just not worth it, because what you're going to pay in fees, what you're going to pay in marketing, what you're going to pay in time, what you're going to pay in going to continuing education classes to keep your license up to date, to do 1 or 2 deals a year, you could take those hours and go apply that to probably what you're doing right now or your job, and take those same hours and work overtime at that job that you're applying to real estate and make more money at the end of the year. Honestly, it just, unless, and I tell everybody that don't get into this business if it's a part-time thing here and there, because will you make some sales here and there? Yeah. But I look at what is your time to dollar value, right? Like, and so when I hear these people say, oh, I do a sale or 2 a year, but then I know how much it costs to maintain a license. I know how much it costs to hang your, broker, how much it costs to get a sign, hold your E-key, your Supra, your lockbox, like all these things, doing your continuing education classes. If you really break down how much you had to pay and time put into your license yearly to maintain and things of that nature, and a few showings, and then you break it down to what your total earnings were out of that business, it's actually extremely freaking low. A lot of people think like, oh, I got one paycheck that was 5-10 grand. But how much of your time did you dedicate over an entire year to make $10,000? Work your current job, go to a garage sale on the weekend and pick a couple things up on Saturday and flip them on eBay, and you'll probably make more money if it's your part-time gig. Yeah, I'm in this really weird phase in my life right now where I've very much have realized that no amount of money is going to make you happy in regards to just having a healthy mindset on just time and kind of doing what you want. So and this goes back to the question of when you had asked me at first, you're like, what makes you different than other people? And I wouldn't say there's a lot of people that are way better in this business than me that I learned from. But the problem with the real estate business is that the general public can't really decipher who's out there crushing it and who's not, right? So it's easy for anybody to get in this. It probably isn't even in my business. This goes for any business, right? Super easy for somebody to pick up their phone, make a post, and claim that there's something and put a post out there. And nobody really knows unless they know how to actually look up their volume and their stuff, And so I right away it was almost discouraging, because I had seen certain agents out there when I first got in the business, and I was trying to follow them. And then I start to find out, I'm like, wait a minute, they're not really doing that great, and you're trying to follow them and you're trying to copy what they're doing. You're trying to get some tips and some advice. And then you find out, you're like, wait a minute, they're not nearly as good as they say they are. They claim they're this, but they're only selling, 3-4 houses a year. Well, crap, I've been following the wrong people. And so I had this epitome, and I was just shut everybody off. I stopped following everybody. I just did my own thing. I was just like, I know what works in business. You have to market, but you have to be extremely good at what you do. And in this business, and any business really, right, the core fundamental of what you do is you solve problems for people. That's what it comes down to. You solve problems, right? There's no fancy thing. There's no fancy, I sold a house, check out this escrow. It's all the same shit. But if you can figure out how to creatively solve a problem, and for those that follow me on Instagram, you guys will see some of my posts. I had a house, like one I just closed a couple of days ago. I had a house that was for sale. It was almost $1 million. I had somebody come to me that, hey, I'm looking for a house on an acre. I had one. the owner of that house was an investor. He ended up buying their house as a 1031 exchange property, keeping that as a rental so that they can go in and buy his house. We did a creative house swap. He's going to depreciate. That's solving problems for people, right? Wow. That's where you just things like that. That's the stuff I love to do. I love to do the challenging. I love to do the complicated. I don't like to do just the traditional vanilla, hey, I got a house under contract, great. And then you put a little sold sign in the front yard. Have a client take a picture.
You said vanilla.
Yeah.
I don't do vanilla house selling.
Yeah, like it's the where you really add value is when you go down and you sit in that kitchen table with your clients and you just have a genuine conversation with them and like, listen, talk to me about where you're at in life. Because everybody's story is so different, right? They could just be a normal family. Hey, we're growing. We have a kid. We got another one on the way. We need a bigger house. We need a 4-bedroom, right? Could be a situation where a family member passed away. Kids don't know what the heck they're going to do with their parents' house. It's full of stuff. Like it's too painful to clean it out and put it on the market and sell. Like they just want it gone. They, could be a divorce situation. Husband and wife are fighting like crazy. You can't even get showings in there. Here's how we can get creative and get this thing. So, I mean, there's so many different things for people and their situations. And when you can sit down and give them a menu and say, listen, based off what you're telling me, here's how I can help you. Here's how I can solve your problem for you. I think you guys need to pick what's best. That's to me how you make a difference. And that's what makes you really good at what your job is. So that's what I've always tried to focus on is just getting creative, solving problems for people, sharing some of that. And it's just seemed to work really well for me. So.
Yep. I think that everybody, like you said, everybody has a story. And if you look at any business from a personal angle and you solve that personal problem for them, you're going to be successful every time because people remember that. People like hold on to that and they can refer you and so on and so forth. Do you get a lot of referrals?
My business these days is 100% referral. So I manage about, like I said, about 60 to 70 transactions a year referral based now. My first year was not like that. I had to definitely hustle, do paid traffic. Full disclosure, my team, we do paid traffic. I believe in any traditional business to grow and scale at a fast pace. It's like a sales funnel, right? You have this funnel and you have to have multiple versions of lead generation coming in. So we have paid traffic. We got repeat business referrals that we nurture past clients and take care of them for referrals. We get word of mouth, things like that. We do organic marketing. We got a billboard, we do things like that, social media. So to have any successful business to really grow and scale, especially we see a lot of new agents that come with me that are from other states, right? So they have nobody out here that they're friends with, family. They're like starting fresh. So what do you got to do, right? You got to interject paid traffic in or, get leads to try to grow your business until you get organic. And it took me 5-6 years to get organic. And there's people from day one that are organic, but they probably won't do the volume I do. There's no way out the gate. I had 5 referrals a month coming in. It was impossible. It took 5-6 years. And that's the thing where a lot of people also, they're not patient. They get into this business, they're not in it. Like my philosophy when I did get into it, my first year, it was a learning curve. I didn't have any expectations for myself. My honest expectation was I want to learn as much as I can. And if I can just sell one house to cover my dues and my fees and break even, I'm happy. And I didn't have the pressure on myself. The only pressure I put was I need to learn as much as I can about this business, top to bottom. I want to just build a solid core foundation. And that's all I focused on. No pressure on myself. And it worked out extremely well because I focused on the mechanics of the business instead of like, oh, give me my paycheck like a lot of people do. And I didn't bail out early and I stuck with it and it paid off. So
education is huge. I think that's definitely where our kind of motto for our business comes in, is that we want to help people that just like the mentors in your life were huge for you. The education that you learned was huge. If we could help people who connect with people who are further down the road and can kind of guide them in that way where they miss all the missteps that the successful person made, and they can get a formula for like, here's what I did, don't do this, but this worked, do this. That's it helps everybody. So that's awesome that you really honed in on that education and the mentors that you had in your life.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think the two things that I want to highlight from what you just said for anyone who's new and listening, like figuring out multiple funnels and multiple pillars in order to generate these leads is amazing. And then doing what you say you're going to do and taking care of people is going to pay off long term. And then also making sure that you have like that set, you would use the word like menu that caters to individual people's needs. So like be a freaking person when you're in sales. If anyone that doesn't know that, like if you think you're just going to come in and push through money, you have got to be a person to somebody first. And the sooner you can bring down that wall and show them that you can have that like personal connection, I think that's really where the long-term game comes in. And that's what's going to help with that longevity and not burnout. I'm sure plenty of us know stories of like real estate agents who come in and they're done 2 years later because it's too expensive and they're not pushing out the deals, et cetera, et cetera. Right. So I think those are really good points that you brought in.
Yeah. I think when the people that burn out, it's a multitude of things, but the primary reason is they were never in it for the right reasons. Because this business is hard, but if you enjoy it, like I have fun with it. And then I always constantly evolve and change, right? So there's different aspects of business that when I first got into it, hey, I'm going to focus on first-time home buyers because it's just where my age group was at that time. Majority of my clients in my mid-career up until like the last year and a half were just your traditional family that had a house that were, upsizing. Basically, they were the starter family that bought their first home, whether that was with me and I helped them get their first home and they came back to me, or they already had a home and I helped them upsize, get into a new home. And then now these last 2 years have actually been pretty full of like investors as well. I got a lot of clients that come to me to buy investment properties, rentals, because I own some rental properties and investment properties. And so they come to me because I'm not an emotional agent. I'm just a numbers guy. Like, this makes sense. And they're like, oh, this seems like a great price. Yeah. But if you look at the market rents compared to what you're going to pay for it, compared to what you're going to cash flow, compared to what this thing's probably going to appreciate for you, I don't think it's that great of an investment, or this is a great investment for this reason. And they just trust you, right? I mean, they're going to hand you $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 and trust that your knowledge is going to be, parking their money where it's going to grow for them. You better know what you're talking about. And I think the people that get into this business that aren't passionate about the business as a whole like that, those are the ones that burn out. The ones that truly enjoy this and have fun with it, they're the ones that just do well, right? They continue to grow, and it's forever changing. Like even now we're going down this year, I'm learning more about the off-market distressed properties because I'm coming across a lot of those that, unfortunately, the houses like the hoarder houses, we come across one of those a month right now. And so what do you do with that, right? Do you put that on the market? And it's shameful for some people. They're embarrassed by that. It's not like they enjoy living that way, and then the thought of having people come walk through their house and see that, it's painful. So, we have to look at other avenues to sell that house for them so that they don't have to go through that, but they can still get fair price for their house, make the transition into something new. Again, just coming up with these creative solutions. And that's an area that now I'm like, you know what? I think I want to go really deep on that. I'm something, so now this year I'm focusing on that. And then probably in 2 or 3 years, I'll be doing something completely different. There's so many different liquid avenues in real estate you could take. It's not one dimensional, which is what I love about it too. So.
And I feel like in like the ADHD entrepreneurial mind thing that happens, it's really nice to be able to like change and be like, I'm going to do some marketing over here and I'm going to do some marketing over here. And then I'm going to move over here and focus on this. It really helps break it up.
Some days, but I like it. Some days I'm like, man, I got to really stop this. And just
look at these 27 tabs open on my computer.
Right now, I think I have about 14 open. So,
same. I love it. So I love that you just keep bringing up like, have fun, like correct your mindset, company morale. Like, I feel like that's an underlining message that's been going on through this whole podcast. Do you have a couple specific people that you listen to or in your mentorship that you tell people to either listen to or like in mindset or real estate, or like, what do you do for that kind of longevity to stay refreshed?
I don't know. I'm kind of weird. Like depending on how I'm feeling at that phase of my life. And I mean, by phases, right? Like some months I'm super motivated. It's like I'm excited, and then other months like things could be going really well for me, but I still just have this like internal feeling of like things aren't going fast enough. You almost get like in a down. And I think that's the problem with like entrepreneurials. I don't think enough people talk about it, but there's like some underlying lines of depression with some people because they just have these, I want to go, and things don't happen fast enough. And in a way, from the outside world, they're looking at these people like, man, you're just killing it, you're cruising, and inside it's frustrating some days. And so I would say a core, I like to really listen a lot to like Andy Frisella and those guys, for those of you guys that follow him, the Real AF Project, just because it's very real. I think that unfortunately in today's society, the one thing I never understood is a lot of people have this desire to prove they're right to everybody, right? And like, you need to see my side or you're friggin' wrong, and I'm going to go to war with you until you see things my way. And I never understood that mentality because I don't know. I always fall like right down the middle, right? With anything in life and the way I view people, like however you want to live your life. I don't care. I don't care what political party you're affiliated with. I don't care what race you are. I don't care religion. Like none of those things matter to me. All I care about is just how are you as a person, right? Can I hang around you and just have a good time and not feel like, you're negative? Are you a positive person? Are you optimistic? If you don't agree with me, that's okay. Can you at least see my side, right? And just ask me questions about it. And if I don't agree with you, can I sit down and have a conversation with you and ask you questions? And maybe we can just find some common ground without having to, agree with each other, but respect each other, right?
Yeah.
And at this day and age right now, it's just crazy. You turn the media on, you see these things, and it's just these people are just always at war with each other right now about who's got to believe this and this and this and this. And so I focus a lot on just raw, right? Like, and Andy Frisell is really good at that. He probably identifies more with me of, I'm not going to pick the right side on anything. I'm not going to pick the left side. I'm just going to pick the middle, and I'm going to take this makes sense and this makes sense. And as long as it comes together of just being a good human overall to people, that's all I care about, right? And I think there's both sides of whatever topic you're on can always meet in the middle. And so I like to listen to him as like kind of a core pillar. He's a little rough and raw. If you don't like cuss words and stuff like that, don't follow that guy. But
that's funny.
That's what I like about him.
Yeah.
And then, I'm always reading books. Tim Grover, Winning. Like, I'm a big fan of his stuff because it's just very black and white, right? Like, you're going to get the results for the work that you put in, and you're not owed anything. You don't deserve anything, but every opportunity is right in front of your face. If you go out there and work for it, the opportunity is there. It's not given, it's earned. And so that's always been my philosophy of, I don't have a mindset that you can't do anything. It's going to be hard work. And there's some things I might just not want to do because I'm like, I don't want to work towards that. But the opportunity is still there for anybody. And so, probably a lot of what I listen to is just that kind of stuff. So,
yeah, a lot of growth mindset. And I kind of internalize that behavior because I relate to that. It's like high vibe. So if you're like, my frequencies are at a 10 and 11. And if someone wants to be negative and you're sitting at a 4, well, I can come down a little bit and I'm still totally happy. It's fine if you want to be negative, but but making sure you hang out with enough positive people in order to stay high is definitely
you're gonna have those days where you wake up and you're like, God, I'm in this freaking rut. And then you're like, I just got to get around my people because your people are high vibe, high energy. And some days you're that high vibe, but either way, as long as the majority of who you're around just maintains that high energy, then it's good. That's probably been the most key piece. The small people group that I keep around me, we all like to have a good time and have fun. So
love it. Yeah, that's definitely the key to longevity.
Yeah. I love to be a good human. I just feel like it's just I say that all the time. Like,
that's it. That's the secret,
human. Right? That's right. There's a secret right there.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yep. Well, Blake, I know you got to run from one side of town to the other. Thank you so much. I feel like that was super impactful. I feel inspired. I still feel like you wear a lot of hats. So let's touch back on that. Tell us where people can find you, what kind of information they can get from you. Drop some of your handles. I would love to hear about like your mentorship. If you have a specific landing page for that or something, feel free. I can link it up here. I definitely want people to be able to connect with you after.
Yeah. Mentorship is probably something I'm going to really be taking the path. I do mentor people right now privately. I only take them on if, depending on who they are, right? I'm not that guy that's going to coach anybody that just comes to me and asks for coaching. Because if I can't add value to you, I'm probably not going to waste my time and take your money and coach you.
Yeah.
So I have interviews with people, and if, they come to me and they have something that I'm really good at that they're not, and I know I could just pour into those people and help them, I'm all about coaching people and helping out. I coach about 4 people right now, 4 to 5 at a time personally. So you guys can find me on Instagram. It's just Blake_sells_AZ. So just Blake Sells AZ. And then same thing on Facebook. It's just Blake B. Clark. I'm on there. I'm on YouTube. I don't post a ton of videos, probably post like 1 or 2 a week on there, nothing crazy. But yeah, mainly Instagram and Facebook are like my 2 most social media handles. And if anybody's got questions or anything like that, feel free to shoot me a DM. I'm always happy to have conversations. So
perfect. Yep. You heard it here first. If you are in the Phoenix area or in Arizona, gotta hit up Blake. He knows stuff.
He knows stuff.
Awesome. All right, Blake. Well, thank you so much. I'm gonna let you run. I know it's raining, so I have no idea how these Phoenix drivers are gonna be. So I'm gonna give you plenty of time to check that out.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, this is fun. We'll have to do a part 2 on some investing tips for sure.
When you guys are down on part 2, let's make it happen. Get it on the calendar.
Sweet. All right. Thanks, Blake, so much. We'll chat soon.
See ya.
Bye.